The Bible says in Proverbs 8:36 that those who hate me love death. And I don't know about you, but I've been appalled at all of the pro-Hamas protests all across the country here in America in major cities. We're going to be talking about the conflict in Israel, but we're going to take a little different angle on that issue today on the program. Also, I'll give you a quick update on issue one and how we are trying to defeat this constitutional amendment that would legalize abortion killing up to the very moment of birth. Activist Radio, the Mark Harrington Show, is brought to you by Created Equal, and you can donate to our work by going to createdequal.org, especially right now. We need every single penny going towards defeating this constitutional amendment here in the state of Ohio. You can also pick up the program on all the podcasting platforms and follow me on all the social media websites. So today we're going to be talking about the conflict in Israel, and here's the deal. There's been a lot said. I'm not going to go into all the politics and the military stuff and stuff like that. I'm certainly not an expert in that category. And if you want to find out about what's going on in Israel, this is not the program for you as it relates to, the inner workings of the battle and the war and that kind of thing. However, I was in Israel earlier this year. Therefore, I have a perspective on that conflict that you're going to want to listen to, I hope. And what I really want to focus on is this equivocation that we're seeing in the United States between Israel and Hamas, saying that they're on the same playing field, right? And that we should be treating them equally. No, I don't believe that's the case. And I'll get into that a little bit. But I want to point out the hypocrisy, the blindness, the moral blindness by our leaders here in America, many of them anyway, and some of the American citizens and those who are protesting and supporting Hamas. We want to do that today on the program because I think it's worth discussing. Now, I don't want to minimize what's happening in Israel. I don't want to minimize the level of carnage and savagery. Certainly, this is unprecedented. We've never seen anything like this in so many years. In fact, Israel has not even seen this in 50 years. Reminds us of the Holocaust, right? In Germany. So I'm not trying to say this isn't important, and the abortion issue is, but it's just interesting to see the hypocrisy of those who will fail to condemn Hamas because they also support abortion. They're being consistent in many respects. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. I visited Israel earlier this year. We had the opportunity to travel there with my good friend Tom Short. The first stop we had was at the newly founded U.S. Embassy that was, President Trump promised to bring the embassy to Israel. We toured the country. I got to meet with pro-life leaders over there, talk about what's going on in the nation. I've been very interested in what's going on in Israel for a very long time, and I spent the last couple of days trying to keep up with what's going on. We're not going to talk about the war. What I really want to talk about is how progressives here in the United States who claim, that is, to protect or believe in human rights, refuse to condemn what's going on in Israel, condemn Hamas, and also, as you can imagine, support abortion killing. How can a pro-abortion activist or politician be horrified what's going on in Israel? If they support the killing of unborn babies, children in the womb, it seems consistent. It follows in some regard that they're not going to condemn Hamas, right? Because for them, the end justifies the means. The end justifies the means. We've seen this with Representative Rashida Talib, who is an anti-Semite, been a strong supporter of Hamas and the Palestinians for a very long time, and also others in the so-called squad in our U.S. Congress. We've also seen this with Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan. So what I want to do here, this first clip, I think it is, hopefully it's, before we go there, the reason why I brought this up is there's a great piece written by Linda Harvey, my good friend from Mission America, and I'm going to put this in the description of the program. And her article is called or entitled "Abortion Supporters and the Beheaded and Beheaded Babies." Abortion supporters and beheaded babies, and I think she does a really good job of laying out the case that those who will not condemn Hamas are the same people that support abortion killing. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? So let's do this. Let's go. Whitmer. Let's see Gretchen Whitmer's comments here on X, which of course was formerly named Twitter. And she was criticized for this lukewarm, gobbledygook kind of response to what happened in Israel. And she said, I've been in touch with with communities impacted. And I think that's where people got upset. Communities impacted? Well, who were those communities? Those were Israeli communities. Those were kibbutz. Those were cities where Israelis were gunned down, slaughtered, children and women murdered by the Hamas terrorists. I've been in touch with communities impacted by what's happening in the region. Won't even mention the word Israel, the nation. It's abhorrent. Well, at least she says that. My heart is with all those impacted. We need peace in the region. All those impacted, really, Israel's the only one that was impacted in that initial siege, right? Now, of course, we're going to see war, and many others are going to be impacted in the Gaza Strip, of course. So this is a lame response, and she was criticized, and so she should be. This is a woman who supported Prop 3 in Michigan, who supported a constitutional amendment, which is now passed in Michigan, that legalized abortion up to the very moment of birth. So no wonder she's not going to condemn Hamas. So also, you have Rashida Talib, who's a House member, part of the squad, so-called, with AOC and others. And she was followed in the Capitol building and was asked repeatedly why she does not come out and openly and vocally oppose or condemn the actions of Hamas, who have reportedly beheaded children. Go ahead and play this clip.
As burning children alive, raping women in the street. You have no comment about children's heads being chopped off? Congressman, why do you have the Palestinian flag outside your office if you do not condone what Hamas terrorists have done to Israel?
Listen, that's enough. We have pro-Hamas legislators in our Congress. We have them in our state houses. We have them in governor offices around the country. Rashida Talib is one of those. She's an outspoken supporter of Hamas, and she is a pro-abortion advocate. Makes sense, right? Why would she not condemn the beheading, reportedly, the beheading of children in Israel by Hamas? Well, because she supports the killing and beheading of children in America. That's why. That's why she won't do it, right? She's being consistent, friends. The pro-abortion left believes in beheading children. They believe it in abortion, and they believe in it when it comes to the conflict between Hamas and Israel. That's why they will not openly condemn. That is why so many leftists are in the streets in New York City and Chicago and San Francisco currently supporting Hamas and this brutal attack on innocents, women and children in Israel. It's not that difficult, friends, to figure this out. These people have a moral blindness to what's going on. So let's go ahead. Now, there are reports, and they're unverified to the degree that we can say for 100% this has happened. But there are a lot of people, a lot of folks basically reporting that Hamas has beheaded children. Go ahead and play this next clip. This is a reporter at one of the kibbutzes in Israel. Go ahead. After the attack.
Some of the soldiers, and they say what they've witnessed as they've been walking through these different houses, these different communities. Babies, their heads cut off. That's what they said. Gunned down, families completely gunned down in their beds. You see some of these soldiers right now comforting each other. Many of them reserves who jumped into action, leaving their own families behind as well, not knowing the sheer horror that they were about to come to. They say they've never experienced anything like this. This is nothing that anyone could have even imagined when you're walking through here. Baby cribs thrown to the side.
All right, we can end it there. You know, this reminds me of the Holocaust when U.S. Army individuals were were in the death camps, and they forced people who lived in the communities to pass through the death camps to see what they had been condoning. It's kind of eerily reminiscent, if you will, of those death camps. You can hear the voice of the reporter quivering. I mean, this is something that should never happen, but it is, and it's happening in Israel. Reportedly, Hamas is beheading children, but it's also happening across the world. It's happening in America. The pro-Hamas leftists, generally speaking, support beheading children by abortion, decapitating children by abortion, dismembering children by abortion. So it's somewhat consistent for them not to condemn what's happening in Israel when it comes to the Hamas attacking innocent civilians. All right, this next clip, another report from Israel about how Hamas has been beheading children. Go ahead and play this clip.
Stunning reports claim that babies and youngsters have been found slaughtered in Israel after the attack by Hamas.
Parents butchered using their bodies to try to protect their children. Stomach-turning reports of babies being killed. Entire families slain.
Israeli soldiers who recaptured the kibbutz made the shocking discovery, with some victims beheaded. Reporters were left in a state of shock.
40 babies, at least, were taken out on gurneys.
You're saying 40 babies, dead babies.
That is what one of the commanders told me.
CBS News anchor.
All right, we can stop it there. You know, it's awful rich of our president, so-called president, Joe Biden, to be outraged that they are beheading children in Israel, but this man supports abortion killing up to the very moment of birth. The moral sickness, the moral hypocrisy is so out in the open and overt that I think everybody needs to see it. Now, of course, we should condemn what's happening in Israel, but we need to equally condemn what's happening in our own country when it comes to the killing of innocent unborn children. All right, here's the next clip. This is Megyn Kelly talking with Ben Shapiro and how she is outraged by this report that there are children that have been beheaded in Israel by Hamas. Go ahead and play that clip.
And I just don't know what we're supposed to do with 40 babies decapitated. How is that a group we can talk to about anything?
All right, stop it there. That is a group that you can't talk to about anything. She's right. As it is in America, or it should be. How are we talking to and how are we trying to find common ground with child killers in this country? Whether you kill children who are born like Hamas, who's beheading them, which is awful, or you're doing it in America in buildings that say reproductive health services or women's health clinic. What is the difference, friends? They're the same people. They're savages. The abortion industry is full of them. The ends justify the means in their particular point of view. And so it is with Hamas. Now, I, for one, think that they should be showing, if there are 40 babies that have been beheaded by Hamas in Israel, the world should see it. And I'm not certain why we're not seeing these, other than the fact that the world press does not want the rest of the world to see what Hamas has done because they're anti-Israel. That's the only thing I can think of, because I'm sure photos were taken, maybe even video of this. The world is not seeing what's happening here. It's always pixeled, censored, what have you. They talk about it, and that's awful too. But they should be showing it. We should see what's going on, just as we should with abortion, killing in America and across the world. So what I'm going to do here, let's go ahead and play this clip. This is what happens in America. Routinely, every single day, more than 40, I submit to you, are being beheaded in this country. More than 40 are getting slaughtered in this country, and it's so-called legal here to do it. If we're going to condemn Hamas, we better condemn the abortion industry, an entire industry in America, funded by tax dollars, mind you, and by an entire political party, the Democrat Party, who thinks this is okay. We're even putting it on the ballot in our state here in Ohio to see whether this should be legal in our state. I mean, who are the savages here? Again, I'm not trying to make moral equivalences here between Hamas and the abortion industry in America, but there isn't a whole lot of difference, friends, other than they're killing innocent born children. We do it to unborn children. So anyway, that's something that I think we need to pay attention to, and that is to share this hypocrisy of the political left, the pro-abortion left here in this country. And I mind you, let's say this, Israel is not innocent in all of this, frankly. Abortion is legal up to the very moment of birth in Israel as well. Funded by tax dollars, no limitations. And there is little to no debate about abortion in Israel. And the babies are killed in hospitals. So, the moral blindness on this issue is just overt. We can all see it, and we need to call it out for what it is. So anyway, that's my update of Israel, friends. Be in prayer for the peace of Israel and for the peace of Jerusalem, that peace would come to that region. But I will say this, as long as we're killing children in the womb, there will not be peace in our streets, whether it be America or anywhere else in the world. It just doesn't work that way, because bloodshed follows bloodshed. And if we try to solve our problems by violence, then that will spill out into other forms of violence, whether it be on the streets or in the womb. So pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Well, friends, I don't know about you, but I feel helpless when it comes to having any effect in the war in Israel, or the beheading of children in Israel, or the killing of women and children in Israel, because we're here in the United States. Very little we can do other than pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and I exhort you to do that. But there is something you can do to stop the beheading of children in America. And the place you can help right here is in Ohio, because we are facing issue 1, believe it or not. In America, we, do this so-called democratically. We let people vote on whether they want children to die by beheading, where in Israel, it's Hamas doing it to Jewish children. We call that terrorism. Well, anyway, I digress. In Ohio, we've got issue 1, and friends, we can do something about it. Whether you're in Ohio or not, you can get involved. Now, the good news is we are heading towards the finish line here. We've got about 3.5 weeks before November 7th, and there's a couple of ads I want to draw some attention to. This is the campaign that is the Vote No side, Protect Women Ohio. They're playing an ad right now that exposes one of these men. This guy, Martin Haskell, doctor, so-called Martin Haskell, abortionist out in Dayton, Ohio, is no different, no better than the Hamas terrorists who behead children, because he does it in a building in Dayton, Ohio. Go ahead and play this clip. This is a sketchy doctor who is profiting from killing children that can live outside the womb. Go ahead and play the clip. This is an ad that's running here in the state of Ohio currently.
A sketchy doctor giving 6 figures to pass issue 1. Why? Good for business. Dr. Martin Haskell, the father of partial birth abortions, invented the procedure. It's painful for the mother and the baby. He's had to close clinics because they were unsafe. Vote no on issue 1. So people like Dr. Haskell can't perform painful late-term abortions. It might be good for his business, but it's bad for Ohio.
Well, there you go. I think this is a very powerful ad. It's good to have a bad guy, and he's a bad guy. He's like those Hamas terrorists, frankly. There is no difference, really, between him and those who slit the throats of born children in Israel. This guy has profited from it. He gave $100,000 to the Vote Yes campaign on issue 1. He has a lot. He will benefit from this passing because then he can continue to slaughter babies all the way up to birth. So that's a good ad. Now, the second ad here is from our governor and the second lady, Governor DeWine. And it's about time, thankfully, that he has weighed in on the vote no side. Go ahead and play this again. This is Mike and Fran DeWine weighing in on issue 1. Go ahead and play this.
Everywhere we go, voters tell us they're confused about issue 1. So Fran and I have carefully studied it.
Issue 1 would allow an abortion at any time during a pregnancy, and it would deny parents the right to be involved when their daughter is making the most important decision of her life.
I know Ohioans are divided on the issue of abortion, but whether you're pro-life or pro-choice, issue 1 is just not right for Ohio.
Issue 1 just goes too far.
It's a good ad. I'm glad the governor is weighing in. He's a popular governor. He appeals to moderates in the state. And so we're thankful that he has added his voice to this debate. And hopefully this will move some votes. It's interesting when he says Ohio's divided on pro-choice versus pro-life. We shouldn't be. We're not divided or shouldn't be on the Hamas slayings of innocent children and women, non-combatants in Israel. We shouldn't be divided on abortion. And I submit to you, the reason we are is because we just don't think abortion kills a baby. We think it's some choice or removing a blob of tissue or something in that. But I think this will be helpful for our case here in the state of Ohio as we wind it down. We're 3.5 weeks away. And friends, you can be involved in the effort by going to createdequal.org/issue1. You can sign up. There's a form right there that you can fill out. If you live in the state of Ohio, you can volunteer to go door to door. Right now, we have reached 32,000 doors, and we hope to reach 100,000 doors. That is door knocking by November 7th. We have made 12,000 phone calls. So if you live in the state of Ohio, you can volunteer for the door-to-door effort. We'll set you up. Or if you don't live in the state of Ohio, you can make phone calls by volunteering on our website at createdequal.org, issue 1. And we're seeing real success at the door. When we knock on these doors and we're talking to people, our voters here in the state of Ohio, when they explain it out, when our people explain it to those voters, after they explain it, we're seeing about 73% of those we speak to about issue 1, after we speak to them, that 73% support defeating or would vote no on issue 1. So that's a good number, 7 out of 10. So our we've got pretty high success rate when we go to the doors of likely Ohio voters. So again, go to createdequal.org/issue1 if you want to volunteer, whether you want to go door to door here in the state of Ohio or whether you want to phone bank. You do that anywhere in the country. And like I say, you might not be able to do a whole lot about what's happening in Israel, as grave and as terrible as it is, but you can do something in Ohio to defeat issue 1 and protect children from abortion killing. We'll see you next time. God bless you. God bless America. And remember, America, to bless God.
You've been listening to Mark Harrington, your radio activist. For more information on how to make a difference for the cause of life, liberty, and justice, go to createdequal.org. To follow Mark, go to markharringtonshow.com. Be sure to tune in next time for your marching orders in the culture war.